Gothic Homemaking. I'm Aurelio Voltaire, and this is Mr. Orville. What now? Who left the TV on? Oh, you're right. Well, I'm glad that's over. Ah!
私は可愛いですか?
可愛くないよ。あなたは怖いよ。Orville, is this your make-believe girlfriend?
He's not my boyfriend. He's not even real. He's a taxidermy gaff.
He is not a what? Oh, now look what you've done. You've made him cry. Baka kaibutsu! Don't worry, Orville. I'll find you a real girlfriend. And I'm sure you're not a taxidermy gaff, whatever that is. Now, I heard I could find a store of gaffs in Seattle, Washington called Ye Olde Curiosity Shop. Now, in truth, the place is a souvenir shop, but to lure in those tourists, they have all manner of strange specimens hanging from the rafters. In glass cases around the store, they have shrunken heads and some very distressing mummies, including this full-body one. Is it real or is it papier-mâché? That's for you to decide. They also had this glass case filled with two-headed birds. My favorite was this very surreal two-headed parrot. But was it real? To find the answer, I continued my search at Hale Dark Aesthetics in Nashville, Tennessee. What are gaffs? I've been hearing a lot about gaffs in the taxidermy world, and the ones that I've seen I have found very, very interesting. But what's your definition of them?
Gaffs is basically the industry term for fake or fraud, man-made, not real.
Do you have any gaffs in the shop?
So this one here is an actual born two-headed duckling that's part of our private collection and is not for sale. This one is a gaff, which was made by man basically, and it is for sale. And then here we have a gaff Siamese twin shrunken head as well. Gaff, not real.
You don't say.
No, it's not. Unless you want to believe it, and then whatever.
Well, I mean, as long as it gets people to buy tickets to the sideshow, I suppose, right?
Absolutely.
Next, my friend Anomaly and I went to Professor Ouch's Odditorium in Philadelphia. Being an expert in all things sideshow, I was certain he could shed some light. Hey, Professor.
Hey, Voltaire.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have come to see you specifically because we're talking about taxidermy gaffs, but you are the authority. So can you tell me, what is a taxidermy gaff?
Well, taxidermy gaff would be a taxidermy creation, a fake freak or a fake animal, a cryptozoological that really didn't exist.
And what would be the purpose of creating a fake creature like that?
Oh, because you couldn't get a real one, you know. So if you couldn't get a real two-headed calf, you take two calf or cow heads and you sew them together, or two turtle heads, or an alligator turtle is, creative. The devil man here is a gaff, so.
And the devil man is what exactly?
It's a devil man. It was actually on the cover of the Sun newspaper. It was captured in the voodoo jungles of Haiti.
All right.
And captured like that. But, mummies, dummies, and stiffs were like.
Mummies, dummies, and stiffs.
Were the staple of the museum. They were usually pretty cheaply made. The better ones were more famous.
What would you say is the most famous gaff?
Well, in history it would have to be the Fiji mermaid, I would think.
And is the Fiji mermaid a mummified mermaid?
Well, the Fiji mermaid generally was a fish and a monkey.
Top half of a monkey, bottom half of a fish?
They were put together by islanders, Pacific Islanders, and I don't know.
So were they trolling the Westerners?
Kind of. It was kind of like a thing they were doing. They would sell to not so much tourists as, back in that period of time, 1800s, 1700s. The rich people had their cabinet of curiosities, like my little museum, and they would collect that. And you and I are gentlemen, and we'd be having our cognac and smoking our cigars, and you would show me the Fiji mermaid you got, and it would have an elaborate story from some merchant marine who got it on some island and had to fight savages. When P.T. Barnum originally promoted it, he'd have ads with beautiful women and the sea sirens, and getting people to think they're going to see a hot babe with fish legs, and they get there and it was a shriveled up little monkey thing.
That sounds like some Tinder dates I've been on.
There you go.
Oh, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm kind of looking for a girlfriend for Orville Dedenbacher. And as we're talking, I'm looking over your shoulder and I see this pretty lady over here. Can you tell me about her?
Well, there's a mummy, but it's not a female mummy.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's more of a daddy. Now it's my mummy, Uncle Harry.
Uncle Harry. So, is Uncle Harry for sale?
No, that is part of the permanent collection. There's even a little fake shrunken head underneath it. It looks like a potato with long hair.
So I guess Orville Dedenbacher's out of luck.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. He might have to dig up his own date. Hey, we do have an alligator girl.
Oh, really? You know, Anomaly's a dragon girl. Professor Ouch, thank you so very, very much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. But I have to be honest with you, the exhibit I really, really want to see is the egress. Where's that?
This way to the Great Egress.
That way? Well, thank you so much. See you next time.
There's a sucker born every minute.
Well, now that I knew what a gaff was, I was really curious to find what kind of people make these sort of things. I almost immediately found the page of Sarina Brewer, I Am Rogue Taxidermy. She makes whimsical animals like pink ducklings and purple squirrels. But by far, I think her finest work are her chimeras. Just like in mythology, she creates these fantastic beasts by combining parts of one animal with parts of a different animal, and the results are truly magical. This self-described rogue taxidermist never kills animals for the purpose of making these amazing pieces. If you read the descriptions, you'll find that most of these animals were donated, either by the owner of these pets when they died, or by people who found them by the side of the road. Continuing my search further, I found this BDSM deer by Asylum Artwork. Her motto is, I do not kill animals ever. It was dead when we met. And I'm not a monster, I'm just a weirdo. It would take someone pretty weird to make a BDSM deer, and I have to say, I absolutely love it. Moving forward, I found this Nightmare Stag by Weird City Taxidermy. Also a deer painted black, but in this case, wearing a collar of lush black feathers. And just when I thought it couldn't get any cooler, I found this piece by the Green Wolf. A taxidermy gaff tauntaun from The Empire Strikes Back. Well, now I was really inspired to make a taxidermy gaff of my own, and I've decided to make a character from ancient Asian mythology, the Kirin. Now, as you can see from these incredible interpretations by amazing artists on DeviantArt.com, a Kirin is part dragon, it's part deer, it has antlers and whiskers and scales. Now mine's going to have a decidedly Gothic twist to it. It's going to be a dark Kirin, or as they say in Japan, a Kurai Kirin. Now I don't know why anyone would want to get rid of such a fine piece such as this, but it was being auctioned off at a benefit I attended. I was the winning bidder and I bought it for a good cause. The first thing I did was make this paper template for the chest. I sent the template to a very talented scale mail artist, but more on that later. Next, I placed the template on the chest and traced the outline with a Sharpie. Now, because I was making a powerful female mythological beast, I grabbed this breastplate from an old Baphomet costume of mine. They were just hollow novelty breasts that I'd painted black. I placed the breastplate on the deer and marked the outline with a Sharpie. Then came the task I never dreamed I'd do. I shaved a deer. That was a first. I bought a bunch of this L'Oreal Starry Night hair dye because I heard it was a nice blue-black. And then came another first. I dyed the fur of a deer. I had help from my talented assistant and star stop-motion animation student, Cassiopeia. For good measure, I used the same dye to color the breastplate so that it would match. Unfortunately, dye reacts differently on fur than it does on hair, and when it dried, our deer was lavender. You're gonna be 50 shades deader in a minute. Just watch. Well, I bought a bunch of Beijing Oriental Black. This is what I dye my hair with, so I know it's good. I rubbed the dye into the fur with my fingers, and when it was dry, instead of washing it out, I just wiped down the deer with some paper towels. And now the deer was truly a midnight black. Now that vinyl breastplate was hollow, so I got some 2-part expanding silicone by Smooth On, and I mixed it and poured it into the back of the breastplate. No, it was not lost on me that I was making silicone breast implants for a deer. To save on silicone, I used some chopped up foam rubber. And because the breastplate was made of vinyl and pretty much nothing sticks to vinyl, I used shoe goo to glue it to the deer. To be really sure, I screwed down the edges with a cordless drill. Now remember that template I made for the chest? Well, I sent it to Pixie Picaso Creations and she sent me back this! Oh sure, it just looks like chainmail from the back, but when you flip it over, isn't this scale mail amazing? I attached the perimeter of it to the deer with some screws. To glue down the center, I used my Champstick industrial glue gun. Next, it was time to make tentacles. Yes, tentacles. To that end, I cut some strips of foam rubber, and then I wrapped them around a piece of aluminum sculpture wire, or as we call it in the stop-motion animation world, armature wire. To hold the foam onto the wire, I wrapped clear nylon thread around it. To seal the tentacle and give it a rubbery texture, I dipped it in liquid latex. When the latex was dry, I dipped my tentacle into a bucket of glossy black paint. And then I hung it to dry with a bunch of other tendrils I'd made earlier. To attach them to the creature's chin, I made holes with a cordless drill. I applied hot glue to each tendril and just stuck them into the holes. In time, the creature had a beard of tentacly black tendrils. Now, Kirin tend to have whiskers and antlers, and to find something suitable for that, it was time to hit the synthetic plant district. There I found this fuzzy artificial plant that looked just right for my purposes. I pruned it down to size with a scissor, and into the bucket of black paint it went. I also found these artificial twigs that are miraculously shaped like Kirin antlers. And they got the same black paint treatment. Next, I drilled holes in the creature's head, and I glued in my antlers with hot glue. I then bought this luxurious black faux fur and I cut it into strips. With hot glue, I glued them along the perimeter of the scale mail and breastplate to blend them into the rest of the creature. Remember those fuzzy seaweed-looking bits? Well, Kirin tend to have a somewhat aquatic appearance, so once those bits were black, I drilled holes and glued them into the creature to create a mane of mangy black seaweed. Next, it was time for some fur on top of his head. I continued the fur mane down the back of the spine. Kirin sometimes have a horn, so I decided to sculpt him one out of Super Sculpey. I baked it in the oven until it was hard, and then I painted it black. To give it some realism and depth, I sponged a lighter gray over the black. Then, with DevCon 5-minute epoxy, I glued it onto the creature's snout. Next, I hot glued a thin strip of glue to hide the edges of the horn. The last detail happened by accident. I bought these 3D printed horns on Etsy for some of my cosplays, and when I came home from a masquerade ball one night, I needed somewhere to put them, and I decided that the Kirin was the perfect place to rest my horns. Then I decided she needed vastly more fur. And now the Kurai Kirin is finished. Now I know taxidermy isn't for everybody, so as usual, here are your vegan options. Recently I was in Seattle for the Steamposium Steampunk Convention. There among the vendors I ran into the booth of Tinplate Studios. They had no shortage of monstrosities on display. And there were all manner of desiccated imps and fairies and things. I remember seeing these on Etsy. This series is called Travesty in a Teacup. And they are just perfect to startle a friend with when they come over for tea. I was most intrigued by this mandrake root, and Anthony Hicks, the artist and proprietor, was kind enough to describe its construction to me.
It's paper mache, made out of mulberry paper, and there's polymer clay underneath it.
And there you have it, an entire booth of amazing gaffs using 0 animal parts. Here's another fellow who makes phantasmagorical pieces that look like taxidermy using only art supplies. His name is Chris Andrus and his work is truly amazing. I first encountered him on Instagram when someone showed me his fantastic faux taxidermy Baphomet. Well, I just had to have one of my own. And now we have a beautiful Baphomet in the lair. Don't you worry about her. She's gone for good. And I didn't forget about you, my friend. I am still gonna find you a real girlfriend. And I know exactly where to look. Well, it was off to Dapper Cadaver, one of the very finest horror prop shops in Los Angeles. My friend BJ was kind enough to introduce me to all of his most terrifying acquaintances. He showed me his dinosaurs, he showed me his coffins. He even let me ask him some questions.
And this is the oddities room. This is where we keep things like mutant fetuses, twisted skulls, jackalope skeletons. These are all 3D printed. It's fantastic.
And I see you have a Fiji mermaid.
Oh, we've got a couple of Fiji mermaids, yeah. This is the meat room. This is where we keep bodies, body parts, and butcher shop.
Aha! Now I think this is where Orville could find somebody interesting.
This would be a good place to look.
It looks like Clive Barker left some of his friends in there.
This is Lucha over here. I think she might be a nice match for him.
She is lovely. Yeah, I think this might be more.
So this more his style? Oh yeah.
I think he likes some on the desiccated side. He's a fan of dry humor and dry everything else. And I think we finally have a winner. I think of all of the beautiful women I have seen here today, this is the one I think Orville would most like to take
Oh, I think she's
bed,
out.
if you will.
I think she's out of his league, man. She's like a 9. Orville's down to like a 5.
I think you might be right. You might be right.
But you know, I mean, he's got a good personality. That counts for something. He might have a shot.
Have you met Orville Tenenbaum? He has a lot of things, and a good personality is not one of them.
Hey, buddy. Sorry, I wasn't able to find you a girlfriend. But, Oh, no, she's back! Get away from him or I swear I'll... Kimochi waruyo! That ain't right. This episode of Gothic Homemaking was sponsored by The Green Wolf.
She's cute. I might want her for myself, actually. And some of the feet.
Oh, right. Everybody's got their thing.